See, when this process starts, right, in my head for myself, I forget, I lose everything, right? Even the little crazy dog that, and that's why it's so important. Like, I need the equipment to document the process because after I talked to y'all this morning, um, I went and I played with my dog for the first time and I actually enjoyed it. Um, and so something's working in there, right? I know this. And it, like I said, it might not be the exact thing that I need uh, for the rest of my life, but it's what I need right now. And that's important. What you need right now. And after that, I walking up and down the street and flailing hands and feeling my head and kicking my feet. And those are all things I've stifled because people told me they were embarrassing, and they're not. You know, they're just the process of my brain. Uh, it must need them movements, right? It must need them movements to learn from me. Um, it's um I'm not gonna try and hide it no more because I need it, and the process of my brain being able to function and me get up like I haven't taken a shower last night, you know, and that I have to accept that that's okay. I just need to stay away from people, and I don't really stink because I didn't really sweat because all I did was walk up and down yesterday and pace and walk in circles. So um, I try to keep smell of myself, and I have to be okay with that, even though I'm embarrassed about it and I'm ashamed of it. And but for me, that's an accomplish to recognize it and put it aside because I can't deal with it yet. And I can't expect everyone to know it with how I work because I don't know how I work, and that's what I'm trying to figure out here. And I think it could help a lot of people. And it's not going to be my way, you know. It's going to be you sitting down and listening to your voice and really trying to make sense of what you see and don't add up and what you know. Um, Having to stifle the stuttering and try and not do it and like when I taught myself to type and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna teach myself how to type because I never really tried because when I did, I started twerking and twitching and eyes blinking and it's not that I couldn't do it. It's just that I felt embarrassed to do it. And I think that stops a lot of us. Um, the embarrassment and shame that people say, it might be embarrassing and shameful to you, but I'm tired of it, right? That has to be the human side of me, my brain saying, okay, you got to put this arm up for the antenna, right? Like when we were kids. Your dad be like, oh, go hold the antenna. Oh, stay right there, don't move, you know? And that's kind of what my brain's doing. It's holding out that one voice that has saved me through my whole life of catching little things that I didn't notice until I was ready to accept it and listen to it. And so much things get thrust upon us that we have to, and it has to happen that way. It don't. It really don't because it don't work for everybody, and that's okay. It's okay. We've lived like this for hundreds of thousands of years. It's just that at one point, uh, maybe people with a good intention said, "Well, this works. This the fastest way, the best way, etc." But that was a long time ago. We've had decades now and hundreds of years to realize that that don't work anymore. And because you know why? Because we've changed. We have new information that we could be using. We have that new information that we're not using because bad actors and predators, man, they're sick too. This is what you got to understand. All these people that give these things these names and protections, are usually predators. You know, they set the system up so they can have game. And you got to understand that. Some of us are just game, that they go out and hunt. And it's not their fault. They're sick. And I can accept that because that's part of human nature. Now we gotta figure out what that does and how it's hurting our society by letting them tell us everything because they want power or their sickness. You know, you gotta worry about yourself, the main thing, and I always not worry about myself, and because when I have asked for help, I can't find the help I need, and it doesn't work for me. So, you know, we just really need to look around. Like my dog, the crazy dog, Kira, we call her crazy dog because she just play, and that's good, you know. And watching her gives me like the ideas of my mannerisms that I try and hide and I'm so ashamed of, and be around people and I snap just because I don't want them to see it. I do that to myself because I was told that it's a shame or that's not the way it works. Don't work for you. That's fine. I'm glad you have that. You don't understand how happy I am. You have that. And these are things I tell myself, right? This is like a conversation I have myself. I give each voice an independent body in my head, you know. I give them an independent body as a separate entity trying to make sense. And I try and listen to them. So when like I said, in general, when I talk like that, in general, I'm actually talking to myself. And I will walk around when nobody's around and nobody can hear me. And sometimes it's been slipping when I'm out, and then I try and defend it because I didn't want anybody to hear it to begin with. It's just a thought that should have just stayed back there, an intrusive thought sometimes. Just trying to make sense of what I see that don't add up. I'm a little mosquito. But it's amazing the stuff my brain did for me. And I'm glad I learned early on and didn't even know it, to grab those pieces of information that would make me a better person and understand myself. And it took me 20 years of burying myself back here. This isn't an overnight thing, man. It's not, and this may not. I don't expect to be cured. Just expect to feel like I deserve to live, and I deserve to be by other people and respect them, and not worry about their choices in life or whatever. You don't know them. You don't know. And I have to keep telling myself this. I've always been the one to try and fit in and make everybody comfortable because I was so uncomfortable. I was so trying to fit into so many places that weren't for me. And I realize that now. I made a lot of bad decisions and mistakes, and I hurt human beings, along the way. And all that's coming to realization. That's going to freak me out at some point, and I'm going to cry and bang my head and hate that I did it. But right now I can't, right? Right now it's good information that I'm processing and to show myself that, you know, give yourself a break a little bit and absorb this in and take, you know, you should feel human about it because you affected another human being directly or indirectly. And I try and teach people, you know, when you make a decision, even though it's your agenda and you're trying to focus, and I don't blame anybody. This is just survival mechanisms our brain gives us. The thing that runs our whole body. I can't keep emphasizing this. It's confused and angry, and there's other voices in there and pieces of information you've gained through life. And it stored it for you. I know it did, man. I know it did. We absorb everything, man. the whole thing about absorbing everything, it's because we have to survive, right? We have to eat. So we have to make a bunch of noise until someone feeds us. We have to make sure we got the right person to be around us when we're little, because we shun away from people we're scared of or whatever, and it may not just be a bad feeling that they don't understand yet because they look different, or they do mannerisms, but it's okay, because that child didn't know, right? That child is grabbing information, and it's up to us as adults to be like, oh, that's okay, that's just the way they are, that's who they are, not who I am and what I want everybody else to be to make my life easier. It's not the way the world works, man. And I have to realize this, and I have to keep telling myself this and talking to myself, and these are just realizations I come to, and it's so important to have the equipment to document this, because the highs, the lows, and I went inside, try to get something to eat, and I'm trying to explain to people that are with me every day, look, I'm gonna be doing this, that, and the other. I'm just going, oh, well, you didn't do it before, and that's straight up, that's real, and they have a right to feel that way, because they've been dealing with me a long time of trying to figure this out and fighting it. They have every right to feel that way. But I'm going to try it and see if that's what my brain needs. Maybe it is. Maybe it is to let go of the shame of the way my body processes information to survive. It's a like I said, it's a rushing thing. It never stops. Like, I went in there and I've been trying to do dishes and eat and pick up dishes and all this stuff, and can't breathe. That's why it's hard to breathe, and when you're hard to breathe, like my parents, they had lung issues, so it was hard to breathe, and you can see how they would make it worse when they would panic, and your brain's just like starving for oxygen at that moment, and you panic, and so you make it worse on yourself. And I'm not blaming you. These are just observations I've noticed. And if I concentrate too hard on one thing, I'm not trying to do it, because I know it's an intrusive thought, and it doesn't belong out to do something, harm or whatever. I don't know where I was going with it. It was there. It's like these revelations come so quick that that's why I want to document it. The feelings of not being of what your brain's trying to help you survive, right? So then it goes into survival mode after it gains all this information, and it's told, no, you're wrong, but it keeps, the one part of the brain keeps saying, but this is what you see, but this is what you see, but this is what you see, but this is what you see. And that's the part we all bury to stop being human, and not on purpose, right? We just want to eat. We want nice things, and we want to do the things that we enjoy. I don't like going out on a boat. I'd rather fish from the dock. Just don't. And I think that's another thing, like my likes and dislikes. When I'm on water, I can't see where the distance on anything, right? I have nothing to judge. The water breaks it all up. And I can't tell how far I am from point A to point B, and that distance closes in, and I can't tell how long it's going to have me get there or whatever. So my brain tells me, don't go on that damn boat, girl. and it does this thing on its own, because you're not able to be present for it, because so much is happening just to be able to live. And really all it takes to live is to breathe and eat and go to the bathroom. That's it. Drink some liquids. That's all. That's all we need to live, even if we didn't have a brain or anything like that. And we put all these other things in there that other people want, and we think we want them because we're told to. And you know, there was a point where I enjoyed rap music, you know, when it first came out, and it was real, and it was coming from the peeps that were there and lived it. That's their poetry, man. That's their story. That's their art. The way they can express to their brain how they perceive the world. And that's okay because it's individual. Some people, there's so many people, so somebody out there feels and the same way and can and self-identify. Like I try and analyze everything so much, and it got me so very deep. And like I said, that could be bad too, you know, something too good. It's bad too if you do it too much, or you don't know. I'm getting ate up by a mosquito. One bit me in my head and it hurts. But it doesn't make any sense why we do this to ourselves. Well, it does, because we were told to. You know? And that's the thing. Everybody's trying to tell everybody what to feel, how to process it. And you think everybody should feel and think and do what you do. Some people might, you know, only because they might like that just at the moment, because they didn't have other information to like something better or to try something new. The whole point is you got to give your brain information that'll help it, not destroy it. Like when I get in my mad stages and I would get off the music, right? And things would trigger me that was happening that I just don't understand why people can't see it my way, and how I think that's bad. And I would get caught up in it, just so caught up in it. And I would get on comments and I'd be like, how dare you? How can you even say you're human? And they're just trying to live, man. They don't have the time to sit there and recognize it. I did. I had 20 years of just slowly declining. More than that, man. I had a whole career that did me good and got me things I needed to actually be able to sit back here for 20 years and have the security of doing it and trying to figure it out. And like I said, trying to, because I don't know. This may not be it at all, but it helps me right now. And that's important to understand. Whatever helps you right now. And even if it is that drug, just try not to bury yourself in it so you can think. You know? Or the sex, or whatever it is that you're addicted to, that you're not. You're not addicted to it. You're really not. You just need that to cope. And we're using it wrong because we're ashamed of it. And I think it's important to say that to what I've realized and seen of all the years of alcohol abuse and drug abuse in my family, and being locked up with people with these problems. And the last time I was locked up, they had little children in there, 5 years old. And that made me even angrier. How could they say something was wrong with them children? They're screaming for help. Nothing's wrong with them. And nothing's wrong with you or me. You know? Nothing wrong with us. We're at a point where we can understand that our brains run us, and it has information that can help us. It's just that all the things around us that make us have to go out and do these things, we become numb to it. Example, working in the casino, when I really started falling apart, it wasn't the alcoholism and the coping mechanisms and the smart-ass comments and It wasn't all that destroyed it, right? It was the fact that when I seen and I picked up the paper and read that people did away with things and themselves and their families and lost everything. And then in my head, I kept saying, man, this is paying the bills, but God, my heart is breaking. And when this happened to me 3 times in like 10 years where somebody would die at the table, you can't stop. You're not allowed to. So we train ourselves to push through that. And I couldn't. We had to move the dice at all cost, even a human life, because of money. And this is where I came in to this conflict in my head of something that provides for me and something that just isn't right. And it's only choices we have to make. So we let it get numb. And you can say you have free will and choices and stuff like that, but when it comes down to brass tacks, like the real, you're gonna make the one choice that helps you. You really are. And this is my choice to help me, and I hope it can touch someone. It may never reach the people it needs, but I hope it does. I hope you share it. And for you, those of you that don't understand it and all, I'm not talking to you. I mean, I hope you listen. I'm talking to the ones that don't want to be here anymore. Listen to that little voice that keeps collecting information throughout your life. But to hear that voice and you gotta back up off the tools you're using and abusing to try and deal with it. And I was forced to do that, right? It wasn't like it was a choice for me to stop drinking or a choice for me to not have the weed that helps me, right? It was because I couldn't afford it no more. And I'm not going to con to get it because there's certain things in my life that I know that I have to put up to not go deeper into a hole. And one of them stealing, lying, and cheating. And those are things I've had to learn all through life. It's not like, I had to do all those things to understand, for my brain to say, stop doing that. You're really going down the wrong path. And I was lucky to have cursors in my life to prevent me from doing these things. That I didn't notice, I didn't recognize, and now I'm starting to recognize them. The only reason why I'm here right now. I gave up a long time ago. I thought I did. I was hoping I did. I was trying to convince myself I did. I wasn't going to participate anymore. Nobody's seen it my way. I was taking my ball and I was going home. That's what I was doing. And I drew lines in the sand. And when I was a little girl, I had to fight. I had to fight my way to school, from school, at home. I had to fight. And so when I got older and I didn't have to fight because I came here and there was a mix of people, of everybody, right? And it didn't happen that way at first because I went to a pass, and when you gotta, let me go back some, right? I'll tell you a story with this. I don't know how much more time I have. I have like 10 minutes. So just to break down how it works, right? I grew up, it was pretty decent, right? We had healthcare and all this stuff, and it was a normal 50s style family. And then Reagan took office, and it was, we were thrown out of the places because we didn't have the money or the capability to keep up with what was there, right? and the opportunities started dropping. They're saying, "Oh, we're just helping people. We're just making it easy for people. You should really make it easy for people. It's their mental well-being when you do." And so when that's why people get so aggravated me. I try and help. I try and pick things up. I try and do this and that and the other with them, and they're like, "Stop, let me do it." And it's nothing against you, right? I'm not saying you're not capable of doing it. It's just that I do better when I help someone else, and then I ruin that, because then I should have been helping myself in the first place, but I don't know how. But I know how to pick up something. I don't know where the story was going, but yeah. So I was putting, and so we went to different neighborhoods, and the neighborhoods were checkered. You had really good up in the front. You had mediocre as it goes down, and worse and worse and worse as you go. And then in the back, you would have maybe traditional neighborhoods where it was house after house after house after house, and they will all, stay out my neighborhood for us that were in the middle. And so I went to a lot of black schools, and there's nothing wrong with that. I had a really good education in a lot of those public schools that my child didn't even get, you know, uh, 30 something years later, right? Um, the and so I was always trying to fit in and fighting and fighting and fighting, and I don't blame them. All I seen was a little white girl, but then in my head, all I seen was this little dark girl, right? Because my brothers and my mom and them, they were all blonde hair and blue eyes, and here I come out, I'm tan, um, my eyes are coal black, like the black-eyed children y'all talk about. You couldn't tell my pupil from my eyeball, you know. Uh, I would tan like crazy. People would ask me, "You mixed?" Sure I am. We're human, and we've been a lot of places and done a lot of things. I'm sure I'm mixed with something. you know. Uh, but even at home, I didn't fit in, right? So all these things, and I don't blame nobody. I'm not blaming nobody. I'm just showing things that may have damaged where my growth was stunted at being a human being, and finding out who I really am, and if that would make me happy. I don't even know if it'll make me happy to be who I am, right? Because I don't know who that is yet. But anyway, I come to Mississippi, and I went to school with all white kids, right? Because we moved to Pass Christian. And they were really good kids, and great things, and pretty schools, and no dust or dirt anywhere. And I didn't know how to act, so I shut completely down and just wrote and got real heavy. And predators see that, you know. They see that. Predators are very cunning. That's what I call predators. They they watch out for people that are having difficulties and just want to be understood or loved or paid attention to or listened to. It's easy to pretend to do that as a predator just to get what you want out of it. And again, I lost my train of thought. But anyway, after we left there, we moved to Bay St. Louis, and that was my first real experience of going to school with everyone. Handicapped, black, white. I think we even had some Asian people there, and I don't remember Hispanic, but we did have some Native Americans or indigenous people, but we were all together, and I got to see a lot of things. We had this one girl, and I love her to death, and she never talked to no one, and she just paced the school and went around in circles, and we didn't know what autism was back then. And every now and then, I took the opportunity to walk with her and just talk to her nice and calm and sweet and tell her, I'm here. And I don't know, I don't know. I don't know if that did her any good. And maybe it just only did me good because feeling like a good person. I did it anyway. And you'd be damned if you talked any shit about her. 'Cause I would mess you up, you hear me? Or mess with her. That's the thing, man. Grew up with bullies my whole life. Had to fight them. I never backed down from them. I don't like to fight. I like to hurt people. Like, I was taught, you stomp them in the ground. You turn your back, you walk away. And they better not get up. That's not right. You don't have to hurt people like that. And I realized that when I came here, and that was another growth. I didn't have to fight anymore. And I realized the damage it did. Not right away. It just made no more sense. But having all the different people that I had to deal with now, and every walk of life and in public school was important. Not to be just all white or all black. It just is. I don't have to go. People's trying to get in touch with me. Just hang in there, man. Hopefully you can find something that helps you.